And good morning. You've waited all week. It's finally here, Friday. Good morning. I'm your friend Scotty Ray. As we start this adventure together, a clear sky and 65 right now. I do hope you're feeling well. We'll get to a little bit cooler weather today. 85 is going to be the high, and we'll get into the breakdowns of everything as it begins today. Over the weekend, what to expect. As I mentioned in the notes, there's going to be a lot of fundraisers going on this weekend. Perfect weather for all of them. Maybe you can get out and support some of these that you can help with. Certainly hope so. Good morning, Mike Dallas. Denny, how are you doing today? And Denise Covington joining us as we begin this. One thing that we'll start this with, and we'll go back over when we get to weather, is what is coming hurricane-wise as we see our first storm start to develop in the Gulf. As of this morning, we have a tropical depression. It's number 9. It is expected to at least be a Category 2 before it slams into land. And as we mentioned last night, is there always a chance that something can change? It is. At this point, it is projected to be a Florida hurricane. And as it goes into the Gulf, start that eastward turn. Let's go ahead and take a look at this so you'll see what I'm talking about. It sits here this morning. Let's look at what we've got. We have at this point 35-mile-an-hour winds, gusts of 46 miles an hour. It's moving west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. That's of just about an hour and a half ago. As we'll look at this, along about Monday at 1 a.m., just before it reaches the Cayman Islands, this will turn into a Cat 1. Wind speeds will move to 75 miles an hour as it moves across there. We'll have gusts of about 92. By the time it reaches Puerto Rico, Cuba, and reaches Cuba, this will be at 104 miles an hour as it slams in. Now, we're expecting this to be landfall somewhere around 1 a.m. on Wednesday as it heads toward the Fort Myers area, maybe somewhere closer to Naples, or it could even be Sarasota. As always, this is going to move a little bit here, but wind speeds expected to be 109 miles an hour when it slams into the coast with 132 miles an hour. That's pretty big there. Now, keep in mind, as we look at this, Florida, this is just a strip. This will be hurricane force the entire path as it goes across Florida, across Kissimmee, Orlando, comes out on the other side. And remember, as always, tornadoes can spin off of this. So we could have some pretty serious weather on the opposite side of the island or state, as I meant to say there. So this is could be a very serious thing. At first, we kept seeing this possibly in this area. It's taking that eastward turn, but always remember, this is Mother Nature. They can do things that we don't know. Take a little bit of time just to be prepared because hurricane season is not over. Make sure that you've got a few batteries around, and make sure, for goodness, if you've got a generator, if you haven't cranked it in a year, or maybe since that last power outage in the winter, that it still does run. There's nothing worse than having 2 hours to get ready and it won't run. As we all know, if you use that gas that's got the corn oil in it, it gums them up if you let them sit. Can't use it in your weed eaters or a generator. Always use non-ethanol in those. I highly urge that. Keep them cranked. Check on that in case you need yours before long. That's where we're sitting this morning on this. As we glance back at this across the state of Mississippi, not looking bad, is it? Clear sky there. We got some showers up there in Wichita and those areas around Topeka, Kansas. Not a bad-looking day. We'll get to your forecast in just a little while to let you know exactly of what to expect over the weekend and, well, what's going to be coming. I do hope we're all got a smile, and we're trying to face today with a big one. Sometimes that just helps, just having a smile on that. We do, as we head to take a look at a few of the stories in the area, the city of Meridian has issued that the water notice that was put into effect on Tuesday, residents that live north of 20th Street, that has been lifted now. That is good news, and hopefully all of it will be lifted before long. But if you live north of 20th Street, you're out of the boil water notice, and, well, life can go back to normal for you there. As I mentioned, we are going to have several fundraisers, and I bring this one up. This is to help one of the families there that was involved in the car wreck that took place on Aycock Road in southern Lauderdale County. Michaela and her family. They're going to sell boiled peanuts today from 10 until 3 at All Star Team Sports. All the money will go directly to the family. Of course, they can't work with everything that is going on. And we try to keep you up to date with all we know about the family and the baby and those situations that were involved in that wreck. Keep every one of these folks in your prayers. They certainly need it as we head into a weekend there. Very important to remember them. Let's see. We had numerous fender benders throughout Lauderdale County yesterday. As we glance at this was just one of those pretty happening place. It happens a lot right there where you turn left to go to up to the mall at Bonita Lakes Drive off Highway 19 South. Always something going on there at that intersection. Confusion, a bumper or two. Nothing major, though, is what we had there. And for the most part, we had no major crimes yesterday. Can you believe that? That's good to report. Happy over that. Now, we had misdemeanors and maybe a few things that hadn't quite reached my desk yet, but I don't know of anything major as in like a shooting or anyone majorly hurt. That's great for us. We wish we could tell you that every day that all is safe, but it doesn't always work that way. We'll be on top of it for you throughout today to make sure you have the latest of what's going on in our area. As we look around, this is good news as we start this. It's bad in one way, but good in another. Jackson, Mississippi, we head next. A fire broke out yesterday, and a pastor and his wife happened to be in the church at the time. They were able to get out. Thank heavens they were uninjured, but the church was a total loss. That happened on Texas Avenue in Jackson. Always good when someone escapes that. We do hate that they lost their church in that fire. Bad things like that happen. We see this a lot of times, and news stories break with this of what goes on when people, they don't abide by the laws. The city cops or a highway patrolman turn on the blue lights, and they think, I've done something wrong. I got to run. I got to go. That's what happened in Monroe County. This would have been back in 2020 in October when it began. Now, this shows you just how long our judicial system is backed up. This is almost to the day 2 years, October 20 of, that's 2 years ago. We're coming up on in a week, 20 to October. Man fled the law. What did he do? Jumped the median, went up the wrong way, hit somebody head on. Someone lost their life because of him. He has been sentenced to 30 years in jail. Took a life for no reason. All he had to do was pull over, and all would have been settled. He wouldn't be behind bars for 30 years. Now, after you get there, is there good behavior? Possibly. But he's been sentenced to 30 years for this, for fleeing and taking the life of a young fellow there. We do hate that altogether. William Patton is the gentleman's name that has been sentenced to jail for that. You don't hear this often. I've brought it up 2 or 3 times over the last few months. Every now and then there's a bank robbery. And you have to, and maybe that's why I'm not a criminal. I think things out too hard. The odds of getting away with a bank robbery are slim to none these days. There's cameras. Just the world has changed. It's not the Jesse James day. But what drives a person to rob at a bank to thinking that they have no other choice in life to get by? Is it truly they need food, they need something? What is it that pushed them to that point? And the next one that I glance at, I have to ask that. A 60-year-old lady robbed a bank, and we go to Oxford. They arrested her. All she got in the bank robbery was $2,050. $2,050. She's 60 years old. She will face a judge in the end. But was that worth destroying your life? What drove her to that? I wonder. Glancing at it, you'd never think she'd do that. Well, go to Dark Horse, see if I can't pull up a picture of her. It puzzles me. She needs a little prayer, too, as you say your prayers tonight. Where is you? Do y'all remember us talking about this yesterday morning? A gentleman was coming from California. He was going back to Alabama to visit his mom. It was his birthday. He stopped off at a Mississippi casino, D'Iberville, really close to the Louisiana line as we go to South Mississippi there. He was killed in the parking lot sometime during the night, walked out to his car for whatever reason, and he was murdered in his car. The D'Iberville police have released a photo of this, and of course now this is not a great picture, but they went to a convenience store, had identification of the car as it pulled in, and of course they stopped to get a drink. The car had stolen that they were driving and had no rear bumper, and here's a look at this. These are the 2 gentlemen that took the life of that man. Did they know him? They have no clue at this point. But the Iberville police are investigating this, and we do hope that these two are brought to justice for killing that man. I think he was 36 years old, right around there. I think so. So we hope he's brought to justice there. That was funny. I was picking with a police officer. Oh, about needing coffee. Oh, as we go to Noxubee County is where we go. Macon, Mississippi, that area there. I know it well. When I was first got married, I worked radio overnights, and I drove the milk truck during the day. I delivered Elsie all over Macon, Mississippi. I know the areas pretty well from driving old Elsie up and down the streets there, delivering that milk many, many moons ago. A jury has found a lady guilty of attempted murder. Or an argument broke out, and she shot someone. It didn't kill him, but she's going to be sentenced for that. Now, the initial sentence is 30 years for attempted murder. Now, I don't know. I've seen people that actually did murder receive less than that, but her initial sentence is going to be 30 years. It makes you wonder what is going to become of that in Meridian. Y'all remember that? 36th Street. Those two young men that shot at the elderly man in his home, they were convicted also of attempted murder. They were charged with it. They'll go before a judge. How many years will they get? And then in reality, how many years do you actually serve? Now, some of these questions we might can get an answer to. I've invited a guest next week. Our district attorney is going to come in and speak with us next week on the 8 o'clock show. Tuesday, she'll join us. Cassie Coleman will be here. There's a lot of questions that pop in our mind, how the law works, what goes on in Lauderdale County. She'll be here to tell us a little bit more about that. I look forward to that. And if you've got a question, be thinking of that. She'll be here Tuesday at 8 a.m. I hope you'll join us for that show. And as always, you can ask her a question. Always good. You don't always have access to someone in that position. They're always busy. They're here, there, and yonder, and you've just never had an opportunity. That'll be your chance to ask her a question when she's on the show with us here. Now, this is getting stickier and stickier. Did I say that correctly? Stickier? As we turn to the largest fraud that has ever happened in the state of Mississippi, the embezzlement, where money was taken from, as I've said many, many times, the poorest of poor here in our state. We'll go over some of this. We've got someone who is pleaded guilty. Not quite, I understand everything that's going on with it as this slowly develops. John Davis, who was the former Mississippi Department of Human Services director, has pled guilty of misusing the welfare funds. Now, Shad White, as we all know, broke this case. And this is what I pull up from Shad White. Here's the story all about that. And I'm going to read you a little bit of this as this breaks down a little bit of what has happened. Now, this is where this gets a little confusing of where John Davis is going to be charged with more. As it says here in the notes, John pleaded guilty to 5 counts of conspiracy, 13 counts of fraud against the government. Judge Wooten sentenced Davis to 32 years in the custody of the Mississippi Department of Corrections. She also ordered him to pay restitution. Davis also pleaded guilty to 1 federal charge of conspiracy, 1 federal charge of theft concerning programs receiving federal funds this morning in the courtroom of Judge Carlton Reeves. For these crimes, he faces up to additional 15 years in prison and $500,000 in fines. He also agreed to forfeit any assets he gained during that. He will be sentenced to those in February of 23. Now, what is going on with this? Are there more people involved? It absolutely is. Is there people this morning that broke out in a sweat yesterday that is worried about what is fixing to come? It is. They're not sleeping at night. All of this, beyond measure, is white-collar crimes. They should pay for what they have done. Manipulation, however you want to word this, it was wrong, and they should pay for what they've done. And I hope justice is served. As we look at this, Shad White has announced that this makes number 6 that's been arrested. Now, we've all seen the headlines of who else might be involved. Goes all the way to the top. In December, Brett DeBice, if I pronounced that correctly, pleaded guilty to fraudulent statements, has not been sentenced yet. Annie McGrew, guilty of conspiracy, has not been sentenced. In April, Nancy New and also her son Zach New pleaded guilty. They are working to turn others over. They're giving evidence. And then that's the last there. That adds up total 6 there. More are coming with this, I would think. And again, I promise you, there are people sweating to death at this point, worried about their involvement of what they've done. Will anybody know? And text messages, if you've done that on a state phone, it's their property at this point. And of course, the government, as we all know, they can confiscate your phone, as we've seen on a national level, and go through it. Who knew what? Who was involved? Who knew that they were bending it a little bit, or maybe more than they should? We don't know yet, but it's bad when folks need help in our state and they use it for something else. Makes Old Glory a little limp there, doesn't it? Sad. People that you trusted to run your government. And you can bet your boots, I'd bet my Nakona boots that I've got, the ostrich ones, the ones that I've had for about 10 years, they're very nice, that this happens all across the country. It would probably make you faint to know what goes on behind doors, what actually happens that never reaches the American public, what we know about, what is stolen, what is manipulated. Or is it the good old boy system? It goes all the way to the top to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, and y'all know that as well as I do. We look to Brandon, Mississippi. There's a Brandon man that has been sentenced. Why? He broke in a home and, he forcefully put himself upon a young lady. 32-year-old Jason Tamayo Galen Jr. of Brandon, found guilty of 1 count of sexual battery by the Rankin County jury. He's got to register as a sex offender now. 30 years in prison is what he'll get. And again, you never know how many years they will actually serve on this stuff. We look to North Mississippi, as we'll see that, and you hate to see any of this go away, the American farmer. There's so few of them now, we need everyone we can get. But a family dairy has announced that they're going to be closing down the dairy division. They'll keep their meat processing going, but the Brown family dairy will cease to exist today. Today is the last day of operation, as I look at that. It's big in North Mississippi from what I understand. Remember the lady that was involved in Jackson, the teenager in the shooting at the mall? She's got a $200,000 bond to get out of jail now. No word yet if she's made it out of that. Let's see, Lowndes County, a motorcycle went by, the cops running 100 miles an hour. They proceeded to follow him. Of course, he had to get back up. When he discovered he couldn't get away, he rammed his motorcycle into a deputy's car. I'm sure that that'll get him a few more charges when he stands before the judge on that also. I cannot, from the bottom of my heart, you ever read a story? This is bad all the way around because somebody's going to be charged. The family of what they must be going through. If you have family members or someone that takes care of your child that normally does not do this on a daily record and you depend upon them to do something for you, for your child, call them several times, make sure they did what you asked. As we look to Alabama, a grandfather is facing reckless manslaughter. Why? He left his 2-year-old grandson, he's 56 years old, he left his awful 2-year-old grandson in the truck. He was supposed to help out the family by dropping his grandson off at the babysitter's. He went to work, forgot. Behind the seat, never thought about it. After 8 hours of work, he even drove home, didn't notice it. The child would be discovered later. Can you imagine? It gives me, as I've said before, that term, the willies. I mean, it really makes the hair on my arm stand up to even think what that family must be going through. He's going to be charged for a crime that he never wanted to do. And there's a family without a baby. Awful, awful. Be ready for this. They're already saying they're going to do it as we head toward December, as we've all seen that interest rates are getting ready to climb. Things are going to be higher, and most likely you're going to see, even though 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue does not want gas prices to go up between now and the elections of November, it looks like they are. But Walmart, Target already announcing that they're getting ready to sling it. Be ready. Christmas is coming early, and they say they want to do this because they do see inflation rising, and they want to give customers the opportunity to buy things at a cheaper cost before it happens. That old term what I used a while ago, bet your boots, it's in their best interest. They're doing that so they'll make more, and we all know that. Are prices likely to go up on items that you want for Christmas? It absolutely is. Be ready for that. Just giving you a fair warning of what's in the future for America. As prices are starting to soar, it's scary to know what's out there. We have the threat of World War III out there. We have a madman across the waters there in Russia threatening to do nuclear weapons. We certainly hope that it does not happen. Do y'all know how many, and this is sad, and if you ever watched, maybe y'all did, maybe y'all watched the movie that I did, Cinderella Man. Did anybody ever see that? Had Russell Crowe in it. And it was based upon a guy, just to give you a quick glimpse of how America has changed, the story I'm telling you about. It was about a guy that during the 20s, when everything hit, his family went down. He was broke. He had money before it. He got around, they had nothing, and he had to go on a welfare program. At the end of the thing, he went back and repaid after he got a job, after he got through that, repaid every penny that he had gotten from the government. Do you know how much money was stolen? How many people lied in America during the pandemic on unemployment benefits? Now, this is, I think, guessing. I'm not sure that they even know this, but lied flat out. $46 billion worth of fraudulent claims for unemployment. $46 billion that stretch the truth. Times have changed in America, haven't they? I wish I could tell you there's a fix for that, but I don't. There's so many people that expect it, well, they feel like it's their right to get it, regardless of whether it's that program or the PPE program. I bet you the $46 billion doesn't even touch that when the money was flowing of people that were lying about how much money, and it's just sad. No other way to put it. We're going to check your forecast next, let you know what to expect. All of that's coming up as we begin this Friday morning together. Hope you got a smile. Stay with us. We've got so much more to come. The Precast Group, offering you the best selection when it comes to a storm shelter. Located on 145 South in Meridian, where they offer above-ground shelters that can be installed in your home as you're built-in, are conveniently located right outside your home if it's already built. They also offer storm shelters that can be installed in a slight bank or on flat ground. Protect your family today with a very affordable storm shelter from the Precast Group. Highway 145 South, 601-482-0003. The Precast Group. Join Mike Rice Auctions and Wholesales every Tuesday night for a live auction, and you can bid from the comfort of your own home. Each week, Mike has a whole selection of auction items. Maybe you're a business that needs a liquidation sale. Or maybe you're in charge of an estate and don't know what to do with all you got. Talk to Mike Rice Auctions about an estate sale. Let Mike turn these items into cash for you. Your next deal is waiting for you at Mike Rice Auctions and Wholesale this Tuesday night, live on Facebook at 6:30. Welcome back. Don't forget, if you're looking for a job and you think that, well, you're getting that calling to become a police officer in any shape, form, or way, Mississippi Highway Patrol would like to have you come out and work for them. They're going to be doing this on Saturday as we pull this up. It will be at Troop H Substation. You can't miss it there. If you're ready for that, begin at 9 a.m. And again, that's Highway 11 and 80 on top of the hill up there. I bet it's breezy when storms come through, but that's where you can go apply there if you'd like to do that, a job fair. Go by, fill out some work. Maybe you get a little interest in that. Want to be a trooper. Good luck to you that. We got Clark Fest coming up this weekend in Clark County. Also, don't forget the Rose Hill Cemetery Tour that will be Saturday night, 8th Street. It will be plenty of Meridian Police Department there to help out with this with security. It's well lit. Don't worry about any of that. It's fun. I've been to it several times. Squealers has their big benefit. And a big thank you yesterday. We had a listener buy one well for those children we talked about as we were on the air yesterday. So that's going to be happening this Monday as they raise money to help children get a well. Also, benefit car show out in Collinsville tomorrow for Ashley Chambliss. Hope you can help that. It's going to be right behind Chisholm Tire. All that gets underway tomorrow morning beginning at 8. A lot of things going on. We'll go back over this stuff at 8 a.m. And again, as always, if you've got a community event, let us know about it so we can spread the word and help folks out and get their message. So let's get into our forecast this morning and see what the National Weather Service tells us for you to expect this weekend.
Your forecast is brought to you by EMEPA, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative.
Those record highs, record lows, it was 16 that we had a high of 99 today. That was the record upon this date. That morning, let's see, 2016 and 99, we had the low. It was 40 this morning. That's a drastic change there. Nearly 50 degrees there, 60. Wow, 59 of them. As we look at the forecast for today, we'll see 85 today. That's about 6 degrees lesser than yesterday, cooler. 84 in Philadelphia. We may even see 83 at Louisville and Mississippi State today. Now back over in the Delta, a little bit warmer, 87 there. Natchez looks to be the high for the state at 91 down in that southern portion of the state. As we go across to Bama, we'll see 85 sitting there at Livingston, across to Tuscaloosa. Auburn cooler at 81. As we'll see warmer weather as you go south toward Troy and down toward Dothan. Now this is what we've got as we see this cooler weather there. We do see that, well, a trending system. Now, keep this in mind as temperatures drop a little bit into October. This just means we'll be in some of the 80-degree weather. Let's look at what we've got for the next 7 days. Look at that. Do y'all see those 80s? Today, 84, a nice, pleasant day. Over the weekend, we'll see 90, 92. You won't even need a jacket tomorrow at all. 0% chance of rain there. By Sunday, a smidgen, just a smidgen there, 92 with a 20% chance. But look at our highs next week. As we get 84 on Monday, by Thursday, we're still at 81 in sunshine. You couldn't ask for anything any better, could you? Now let's go ahead another week into October, carry it through the 7th, and we stay pretty much in the 80s there. By Friday, the 30th there, as we roll into October 1, 82, and by the end of that, we'll get some upper 80s, but not bad, 85, 87, somewhere along in there through October 7th. And remember, it will be cooler as you head out to these ball games. As you're sitting in the bleachers, a little cooler there for you. As you go to one of those, grab you a jacket if you're going to a game tonight. Just be on the safe side. Some of you are more cold-natured than others. I'm getting that way, too. I get it. I do now. I really do. Let's look at what's happening here with these tropics. As we said, be careful of always not overestimating the storm. But it does look as though the National Hurricane Center is banking the farm at this point. It is Mother Nature. It could twist a little bit there. Expect this to always not be the exact path, but we have one storm that is developing off of Africa that has a chance of 60%, no threat to us. We have another one here that we see at a 30. This is the one right here that we want to watch. Now, this is Tropical Depression 9. Now, it's upgraded from Invest 98. Again, as we looked at the chart a while ago, this will go into southern Florida about next Wednesday as we look at that. Fiona, still at a Cat 4, 132 miles an hour this morning, moving north-northeast at 13 miles an hour, and we still have Gadsden clocking at a tropical storm at 63 miles an hour, moving east-northeast at 17 miles an hour. Now, that's a lot there, and let's just go back, and if you're just tuning in, so you can kind of see what we're looking at on this radar system as we look at this. Let's go down here. Again, here's the reading Honda radar as we see that right here is what's going to be affecting the Gulf. It rolls in. By Monday at 1 o'clock, it speeds up to a Cat 1. And by Tuesday, just before it hits Cuba, we'll move into a Cat 2 at 104 miles an hour and projected near Fort Myers, somewhere around Sarasota, Tampa. We're looking at a 1 a.m. Inland hit, moving in at 109 miles an hour, gust of 132. It's Mother Nature. This is going to move one way or the other. That's not exact, but that's a good outlook at what we got at this point on radar. We will keep this up to date with the very latest as it gets closer with this. At this point, no threat to Alabama or Mississippi. Could change a little bit, but we are expecting a South Florida hit with this hurricane at a Cat 2 at this point. Should that change also and it increase, we'll let you know. We think ahead for this and always be prepared. Well, let's go back and see what else we got here. Let's check in on our fishing forecast from our friends over at Chet's Paint and Body. Well, today, 11 o'clock, right there at lunchtime, if you've got a few moments, if you want to go out and do some bass fishing, 11:30 to 1:30 is the best time to fish today. Look at the wind. Perfect. Northeast to around 5 miles an hour. Couldn't ask for anything any better, could you? Nope. Let's see here as we watch this already. We're 1 hour and 1 minute away from the morning show getting kicked off. I need you back. Come back and join us. Always share the show as you can, and we'll be here. Candace is coming in. We'll see what kind of mood she's in when she get here. Join us. We expect you to be here. We love your comments and appreciate you. We'll see you back in just a little while. Thanks for joining us here at the Scotty Ray Report. We'll see you soon.
The Scotty Ray Report is brought to you by our following partners: